Thief is a 1981 action crime drama directed by Michael Mann and starring James Cann. This video has major spoilers on the entire film. Fair warning. James Cann plays Frank. He's a professional thief. He's big time. He steals diamonds, no fur coats, no coin collections, no stock certificates, no cartage, no treasury bonds, just uncut diamonds and cash. He does not fuck around. He meticulously plans every single score with his partner Barry, played by James Belushi. They own a car dealership, but Frank is the boss. Frank gets introduced to this mysterious man named Leo. Leo tells him he wants to hire him. Leo and his team will point him to the scores they plan. Frank approves them, and they make his life easier for him. The first few jobs go good, and everyone makes money. We get some side story with his girl, them adopting a baby, and his friend Okla, played by Willie Nelson, who was trying to get out of prison before he dies in there. And that's all good, I can't complain about any of it. In fact, the best monologues come from this stuff, like when he's in the diner with Tuesday Weld and basically lays out his life and what he wants to do with the rest of it. This scene shows you who Frank is, and I think Willie Nelson is a great actor. You really believe him as Okla, and he's likable. And you feel bad for Frank when Okla dies in prison. But aside from Okla dying, everything is going good for Frank. But this is a crime film, so of course things go bad. First he gets stopped by dirty cops and they tell him they're his new partners and they get a piece of whatever he makes. He basically tells them to go fuck themselves. They start bugging his car and house, but he's smart and finds them all. So he decides to do one last giant score and retire with his girl and their adopted son. He steals $410,000 in diamonds. Remember, this is 1981, so now that would be over $1.1 million. His share alone is 90 grand. But Leo isn't done with him. He kills Barry, then tells him he's gonna kill him, his girl, and his kid if he doesn't do exactly what he says for the rest of his life. Frank gives his girl $410,000 and tells her to get the fuck out of his life. He blows up his own house, then burns down his car lot and the bar that he owns. This way he has nothing left for Leo to take from him. Then he breaks into Leo's house and murders him. He runs outside and the rest of Leo's crew is waiting for him, but he kills them all and walks away like a badass. I have a small negative about this film, and that is the climax. It's not a bad ending. I love that he destroys everything that he owns, including his relationship with his girl, but the whole climax in killing Leo and his crew is only like 8 minutes long. It's so badass when he shoots Leo in the head, but the entire film is badass. I kind of wanted something bigger for the end. As much as I like Frank, I'm not sure if I'm happy that he lived. I mean, he destroyed his whole life, what does he have to live for now? Well, I guess he has money, so he'll be okay. I think I would prefer if he died in the end, but whatever, I still love this film. Let's talk about the director Michael Mann before we get into the rest of the film. This is his first theatrical release, but before this he directed The Jericho Mile, which was a made-for-TV movie that he filmed in Folsom Prison. He also worked on a draft for the film called Straight Time, starring Dustin Hoffman, which is based on an Eddie Bunker book who wrote it in prison. I love that film, Straight Time, and I highly recommend it, but to work on both of these projects, Mann spent a lot of time in Folsom Prison interviewing prisoners. That definitely helped shape this film. The opening credits say that this script is based on a book named The Home Invaders, written by Frank Hoheimer, who was a thief who wrote his book in prison, but director Michael Mann says he discarded the entire book, but it helped him figure out what he wanted the script to be, so he gave it a credit, which is kind of weird. James Cann based Frank on John Santucci. He was a mastermind professional thief who served as a technical consultant on the film and also portrayed Sergeant Orizzi on screen. He did some acting jobs after this with Crime Story, a television series Michael Mann was involved with, and Miami Vice, the series which Michael Mann adapted into a film in 2006. But when acting jobs fell short, he turned back to a life of crime and went back to prison in 1996. He died from cancer in 2016. Michael Mann had several professional thief and ex-Chicago policemen consult and act in this film. This is also Dennis Farina's first film. He served in the Chicago police for 18 years before this film and made a legit career in film and television after this. He was also in Crime Story and Miami Vice, but you'll probably remember him from Snatch and Get Shorty. He died in 2013. Rest in peace. All this really gives an authenticity to the entire film. Another thing is all the tools used in the heist are 100% legit and real. James Cann spent a lot of time with the criminal consultants learning how to break into safes. The opening credits is a legit $10,000 safe that he opened and destroyed. He also spent a lot of time learning how to use his gun. You see and feel this in the film and in his performance. I think another level of authenticity is how it shows the long process of these tools and the planning they put into each job. This is the stuff I love and look for in crime films. I love it when a film keeps your attention with no dialogue, and this film never loses my attention. James Cann is great as Frank, and I love that he doesn't have a last name. He's just Frank. Frank is a badass. He spent 11 years in prison and it shows, but he's not a crazy madman. When he was in prison, he was forced to think about who he is as a person and what he wants out of his life. What he wants is a wife and a kid and enough money to just stay home and live comfortably with them. He has a very clear vision of what he needs to do to get it, and that's stealing. But he's no cowboy, no crazy shit, no home invasions, no innocent victims. The only people who lose anything from him are insurance companies. I'm not saying that makes what he does okay, but I don't see him as an evil character. Stealing is all he knows, and that's how he decided to make his living. I also want to talk about James Belushi as Barry. He's an important character, but he doesn't have much to do in the film. He's his partner, but he's also his friend. He's very likable in this, and I love that he dies just to warn and save his friend. This was James's first movie. His brother John would come to the set often, and they would all party at the Blues Brothers bar. That's badass. This whole film is just so badass. Every single shot in it is beautiful to look at. It's truly a treat for the eyes. To be honest, this is my favorite Michael Mann film. In my opinion, it's his masterpiece. Don't get me wrong, I love Heat and Manhunter, but there's just something special about this film. From all the neon lighting, and how all the streets are constantly wet, giving this strange atmosphere, and Chicago itself is a character in this film. It's obvious that Michael Mann grew up in this town and loves it. But I think my favorite part of this film is the original soundtrack performed by the electronica band Tangerine Dream. They made some of the coolest soundtracks of the 1980s for movies like Risky Business, Ridley Scott's Legend, Firestarter, and more. I love the soundtrack so much. I'll never forget the first time I drove my car home late from Hollywood. I just bumped the soundtrack all the way home on the empty streets and freeway. It feels so perfect to just drive to late at night in a big city. So I'm Jacob from Cinema Junkies. Thanks for watching. Keep watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Instagram, Cinema Junkies_. Don't forget the underscore.